In this video, we discuss outsourcing SEO services. Today I interview Chris M. Walker. Chris is the founder of Superstar SEO. He has personal SEO agency in South Carolina, but it's also the name of the community where he teaches other people about SEO through a Facebook group and a number of online courses. But most recently, he's founded Legiit, an online marketplace where you can get digital services such as SEO, graphic design, and more. Well, thanks, Chris, for joining me today. Hey, I'd love for you to just get started by telling our audience a little bit about you, maybe your backstory, and then what you're up to these days.
Yeah, I've been doing SEO and internet marketing since about 2013. Started basically to find a way to make some extra money, and then found out I really liked it, and things started going well. And I just kind of built from there, and then that's what I built, Superstar SEO and Legiit and my other businesses, and just keeps growing and going well.
So tell me a little bit about how you got started in SEO. What did that journey look like for you?
I actually read a blog post from someone that had a blog on used to have a blog on a completely unrelated topic. And he was talking about how he was making his living now doing something called affiliate marketing. And I'd never heard of it before at that point. So I started researching it and thought it was kind of cool and built a site that did okay. I didn't even realize what I was doing was SEO exactly. I just knew I was making affiliate marketing sales and the traffic was coming from Google. And then that kind of just grew from there.
And you started offering services to clients, correct?
I did, yes.
Yeah.
When I decided that was kind of going to be a career type move, because I still had a full-time job at the time, I figured out that was the easiest way to get paid. Not the easiest, but the easiest way to go from no money to several $1,000s was through clients. So I started taking on some of those as well.
And then how long before you quit your job?
The very first time I discovered SEO was in mid 2013, and I quit my job in mid 2016. But really, from the time I started doing very well with it was sometime in 2015, and then quit in 2016.
And while you were offering client services, you started offering some services on some marketplaces, right?
Yeah.
Tell me what that looked like.
That was actually just kind of a whim. Like, there was a new one that opened at the time, and it was like, well, let me just throw something up there and see what happens. I was actually just reselling something from another marketplace at the time, and then I got a sale, and then a few sales, and then a lot, and it just kind of not spiraled, but grew from there.
And then you kind of went all in on that, right? Did you kind of give up on or kind of go away from the client side of things and kind of focus on that more, or?
No, not really. I know that's probably the perception that a lot of people have, but because that's kind of what I'm known for. But I did both in tandem. I still did both, but where I've gotten most known is through marketplace services.
So I guess one thing we didn't really even define is, there's a couple ways somebody can go out and find SEO services. They might find a company, a vendor, but then there's also what we've been kind of mentioning as these marketplaces. Mm-hmm. So define to somebody that's never heard or doesn't know that these even exist, what that is.
Well, I guess the easiest way to explain it would be like eBay, but for digital services. It's where a seller who has a particular skill lists what they do, and then you as a customer, business owner, person, whatever, come to it and find what you need, someone that can do what you need, and you pay them for that particular piece of it. So I think that's probably the easiest way to explain it, I think.
Would you say, and I'm going to just say Fiverr is probably the one most people have heard of.
Fiverr and Upwork, yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of like that. So what makes it different from the purchaser side or the small business owner, purchasing from a marketplace?
Different from what?
Than using a contractor or a person or a company?
The upside is that you get to pick exactly what you need, and you are executing your own strategy. theoretically, it could be less expensive, although I don't necessarily agree with that, depending on how you want to go about it. The downside is you don't get strategy and expertise along with that. You just get, it's more of a, when I used to work in retail, they called it clerking, where you were just ringing somebody up as opposed to actually selling them something. And that's kind of what you're getting there, is you're just getting whatever it is they do. You don't get the strategy behind it. So if you buy something that isn't what you need to buy for that point of your campaign, that's not that seller's fault. That's your fault for not knowing when to buy it, which is why it goes back to why I said have a strategy.
Yeah. What's the biggest piece of advice you would have for a small business owner that's going to outsource their SEO services?
Know what you're doing, I guess, would be the answer. Like, also realize that one service, it's not a one-for-one basis. I buy the service, my ranking increases. Have a strategy and use outsourced services to execute that strategy. Don't just buy those as kind of like the magic button to get rankings. Like, know what you're doing and have a blueprint or steps or whatever you want to call it, and then just use other people's services to fill in the steps.
So how would a business owner go about finding great services like that?
What do you mean? Like where to find them? Or
So what are some of the pitfalls a business owner might have when searching for vendors or people to fill on those services?
Falling for sales copy that overpromises and underdelivers is probably the biggest one. Like, a lot of people on marketplaces will put, I'll rank you at the top of Google in 3 days for $47, and and then have some really convincing sales pitch copy, but those aren't realistic expectations. And somebody who's not in SEO, and frankly, even some that are, tend to believe those things and buy them and then get disappointed and waste money, or however you want to phrase it. So that's probably the biggest thing to look out for, is to have some knowledge before you make a purchase, and something's too good to be true. It probably is.
How does a business owner find trusted sellers?
Well, I mean, you can look at reviews and things like that, although in my opinion, those can be misleading. Sometimes people will give a good review because they like a person as opposed to liking a service. But so try to use some common sense on that. Ask questions before you buy. Ask other people that have bought those things. If there's a way that you can do that, ask them. And then, like I said, know what you're doing too, and seeing if what you need to execute fits with what listing you find.
So if I'm a business owner, and whether it's buying on a marketplace or just actually using a vendor, there's definitely things I can do to make your life easier. Yeah, right. And kind of have not only the strategy maybe figured out, but how can I make life easier on the seller or the purchase or the person that I'm purchasing services from if I'm a business owner?
Knowing what you're doing, like I said, is part of it. And being prepared, like, first of all, reading the entire page, and making sure you understand what you're getting. And then, like I said, when you buy something, be at the right point in your campaign for that particular service. So
Sure.
And leave them alone and let them do the work too. Like, honestly, if you knew how to do that particular thing yourself, you'd be doing it yourself, or at least know how to inspect what you expect, or I may have it the other way around, but be able to look at the deliverable and know what you're talking about before you complain.
Yeah. I think that is one of the problems with so many people, especially if, we're talking small businesses, is they don't know what they don't know. So I just think in their nature to be like, what's going on? And, they get all paranoid and.
Yeah.
So I guess that maybe leads me into my next point is you recently launched your own marketplace.
About 1.5 years now. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about Legiit.
Well, the reason not the only reason. One of the reasons it was born was I used to sell on another one, and it started having lots and lots of problems. So I started selling through my own website, and then some other sellers on that marketplace were like, can I sell through your website? Because, they're having the same problems I was. And I was like, well, I might as well make my own. And I was fortunate enough to be partnered with a developer that agreed and could help not handle the cost, but partnered with them and helped with the cost. And it kind of built from there.
So tell me what the first year and a half has been like so far.
It's hard. It's a lot harder than I thought it was, for sure. It's doing extremely well, like better than I ever could have imagined, but it's also a lot more work. And there's and don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining, but there's a lot of pressure having that many people's income depend on you. So if like the site goes down for an hour, that can, affect somebody's ability to, not maybe an hour, but it could affect somebody's ability to pay their bills. Having said that, it's also helped change a lot of people's lives by making more money for them or finding things that they need. So it's been a great experience. It's growing way faster than I ever could have anticipated, but it's a lot more moving parts, a lot harder to make people happy than a typical business, I think. So
sure. What have your biggest challenges been?
Making people happy. Like when there's a buyer and a seller and you have to strike a balance. All other marketplaces, one thing I wanted to bring my expertise in marketplace freelancing to was that all other marketplaces instantly favor buyers on everything. And I just don't think that's fair in all situations. So I try to favor making the right decision regardless of who, whether it's a buyer or a seller. Now, obviously we end up favoring the buyers more often, but that and help sellers that have unrealistic expectations have been kind of a challenge. A lot of them just want to list a service with a terrible image, a crappy title that says, I will do so-and-so for you, and not an undescriptive sales page and get sales. And when they don't, they blame the site as opposed to blaming themselves. And that's been a way I've been working on educating them and giving them as many opportunities to excel and succeed as possible. But some people don't get that, and it's tough to manage. But overall, these sound like they're painful, but it's really just minor things.
Mm-hmm.
That and like keeping up with, like, we have so many cool things we want the site to be able to do, but development time is expensive and tedious. Not tedious, but takes a while. So it's never going to happen as fast as I want it to.
So are you still doing any client SEO work, or have you kind of transitioned to just focusing on Legiit?
No, I still do some client SEO work.
Cool.
I do some consulting now as well.
So let's transition. Just what would you say is hot right now in SEO? What tips or recommendations would you have for a small local business regarding SEO?
Not look for what's hot in SEO right now would be my first thing. Is stick to fundamentals and like stop being addicted to new. Uh-huh. But yeah, like just learning basic fundamentals like site structure, site on site, all those things will get you like 3/4 of the way to where you need to do. And they're not necessarily free if you get somebody else to do them, but it's not as expensive as building links and doing all this outreach and writing content and all those things. So I guess stick to fundamentals is the short answer.
All right, Chris. Well, thanks so much for joining me. Where can people find you?
You can check us out on Facebook at SuperstarSEO.group. It's like one of the biggest SEO Facebook groups. And we're very, to the annoyance of some people, we focus more on beginners and non-SEOs than we do on advanced SEO, which there is no such thing, in my opinion. And then you can check me out on YouTube at chrismwalker.tv, and by all means, check out Legiit at legiit.com.
I hope you enjoyed this interview with Chris M. Walker. Again, if you want to learn more about him and his businesses and his marketplace Legiit, just look in the description below. I'll have links to all of those. Now, my biggest takeaway from Chris today was the fact that he talked a lot about strategy first. And knowing that if you're a business owner or a person looking to get SEO services fulfilled through a vendor or a marketplace such as Legiit, that it's really on you to be thinking about the strategy. The people you're hiring are going to fulfill on those SEO tactics, but it's kind of on you to be proactive about your overall strategy and knowing what you want and knowing the expectations when you're hiring somebody like that. If you're looking to learn more about strategy, go to mysiterank.com, where I'm going to continuously be putting resources where you can learn more about SEO and also about strategy. If you like this video, hit the subscribe button below, and when you see that bell pop up, click that too, so you'll get notified every time I post a new video. We'll see you in the next one.